I call this meeting to order, Cunning County Council meeting, January 21st, 2020. It's 6 p.m. We'll begin with public comment session. Just so we're clear, come up and please state your name, and then you'll have 4 minutes, and I'll be keeping the time up here. When you have 1 minute remaining, I'll hold this up so we don't interrupt you, and at the end of it, I'll hold the red up to make sure you get through your time properly. Virginia Strong Tidman.
Hi, my name is Virginia Strong Tidman, and I'd like to comment on the effort to develop the comprehensive plan in this year. I've owned property in this county for over 30 years at this point in time. I've seen a number of different processes for developing these plans, and I wanted to commend the efforts this year in developing the plan that's going to be read for the first time tonight. There were over 500 people who participated in various citizen stakeholder group meetings, which I think is exceptional. The newspaper survey that was included in different inserts went to over 10,000 addresses in the county, and over 1,100 people responded to those, which is quite a sizable number for a county, I think, of this size. There were additional groups that were conducted with stakeholders, and as I understand it, there were over 20 Planning Commission meetings. So I would like to commend both the Planning Commission and the Planning Department for their efforts in this regard. I think that every effort was made to include citizens and offer them the opportunity to hear their voices be heard. And quite honestly, if you didn't take advantage of those opportunities, then you were the one that was at fault and not the effort in developing this plan. So I thank you for the effort this year.
Thank you. When we fail.
For the record, my name is Gwen McPhail. I'm newly elected chairman of the Planning Commission. And as y'all know, some of you know, I get a little teary-eyed when I feel strongly about something, so I'm going to read from my notes. First of all, thank you all for investing the time that you do in our county. There's a reason that most people don't want to do this job, and the time and effort that it takes is one of those reasons. Tonight you have the opportunity to take the first actions on a document that includes the goals that the people of this county have indicated they believe are important. From housing and transportation to safe food and family recreation, citizens responded to surveys in the newspaper and attended countywide meetings to speak about their future. Please take the time to read it from cover to cover. I've lived here over 42 years and am now known as the historian for the Planning Commission. And I thought I knew a lot about our county, but I didn't know anything until I read this document from beginning to end. After you read it, the first thing you need to do is give yourselves a pat on the back, and then give the people who work in the offices around us a pat on the back. This county does an amazing job for its citizens, and if you don't know all of those jobs, you'll learn about them by reading this document. Most of us today out in the county are too busy just living our lives to know the details of what all the county does. So we take a lot of it for granted, and we gripe about it when we've had a bad day. So another thing that I'd love to see you all do is to work with the newspaper and the local radio stations to share those stories, the things that you do and the people in these offices do for the citizens, because we don't know all the time. We just think it gets done by magic. And then as the chairman of the Planning Commission, one last thing is please reflect on the goals that you read in that document and know that the citizens have said they're important, and then direct the Planning Commission so that we can assist you with moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Tony Adams.
I'm Tony Adams, concerned citizen. My comments tonight are primarily for you, Mr. McCall, and follow up your comments in the last meeting about the Golden Corner Commerce Park. Specifically, your comment about it being a white elephant, and second, all the twisting and turning roads that nobody liked down there. The twisting and turning road comment makes me think you've never even driven that far south in Oconee County, because there's almost a 2-mile straight stretch right beside that property. You come out of that partially finished entranceway and turn left and drive straight in the air to the stop sign and take another left and drive another mile, you'll run into the interstate. So where in the devil's all those twisting and turns at? And back to the white elephant comment. Let's go back to 2013. Michelin Tire Company expressed interest in a distribution center on those 322 acres, or at least part of it. For whatever reason, the council which you were on drove that out for 3 years. Right after that, a Japanese company come along that makes tankless water heaters. For whatever reason, they decided to build in Georgia. Then you guys approved a spec building that was never built and an entranceway that was partially built. Now I understand and know why the spec building wasn't built. This solar farm issue was hatched, and it's been used for another 2 or 3 years to drag it out. If that place is a white elephant, it's only in your mind and other people's minds, and because you want it to be. Now then, I'm done. I hope you will respond again.
Mr. Barnett.
My name's Jerry Barnett, for the record. I'm a charter member of the rural community, if there is such a thing. I've been here much longer than 42 years. And if anybody is in touch with the rural community, the needs and the wants of the so-called silent majority, it will be me. I'm not so silent, don't intend to be. So I said last year, this council was a failure. You did one thing right. You got us an administrator that is in touch with the people and the employees of this county for a change. We were a little tired, sick and tired of the megalomaniac that decided to go to Seneca. You know, greed, megalomania, and a lust for power causes people to do some strange things, namely politicians, bureaucrats. You know, we see it. Y'all might not realize it yourselves, too busy slapping yourself on the back, but we the people, we see it. We see it, and we see our resources squandered on chasing galloping billboards and this so-called comprehensive plan that was cooked up by less than 1% of the population of this county. And if you look at where that 1% lives, they live in a certain geographic location. So who runs this county and who represents who here? I think we all know. It made it pretty plain who you represent. Now, we've got two people up there that go out of the way to represent the people they're sworn to represent. Y'all know who those two people are. There's no need to call names here. But y'all think about it. Take a look at your oath and the people you're sworn to represent. Thank you.
Matthew Durham.
Hi, good evening. As mentioned, I'm Matthew Durham, and it's a new year, and I didn't get here in time the first council meeting to speak, but I'm here now, and with a new year, you guys get the opportunity to do, coming up in the next few months, the most important thing that you was elected to do, and that is to set the county in budget. And guys, we all know that the economy is doing well now, but we all also know that it's not always going to be that way. It runs in cycles. What's important is you guys get ready to go through the process. Don't spend every dime, every piece of revenue that you get. And it still just absolutely astounds me that last year, during a time of economic growth, y'all felt the need to raise taxes. What did Pickens County do last year? They did the opposite. They actually cut the millage rate. Monroe County, y'all just keep taxing us and taxing us. Guys, all new revenue needs to come from economic growth. It's never okay to raise the taxes. The role of the county government is to provide high-quality core services such as police and fire protection and roads. Anything above that's just cream. If you guys during the course of this year feel the need to raise my taxes to pay for the cream, please don't. Just stop. Guys, I talked to you before about your budget process and how you really don't have one. You guys and the top county bureaucrats, you just take a wish list, everything you want. Then you just simply either do one of three things. You either dip into the reserve fund to pay for it, or you raise your taxes, or you do both. Guys, we elected you guys to put pressure on Ms. Brock, who in turn puts pressure on the other department heads in the county to keep control of their spending. You guys don't always have to say yes. It's okay to say no. And in 2020, how about let's say no to no new taxes? The problem is not that we are taxed too little, but it's that you guys spend too much. As we get ready to go through this year and you get ready to make decisions on taxes or whatever else, it's important that y'all remember something. You need to remember that not a single out-of-state Clemson University student put a single one of you guys in office. And the richest tourist that ever came through Oconee County didn't vote for a single one of you guys. And also, you just need to know that we are not your ATM machine. Thank you.
Mr. Jim's gonna.
I'm Jim Schoonover from Salem. I think the county's efforts to encourage its citizens to attend the various comprehensive plans meetings by newspaper, some of this has been redundant, they stole some of my thunder, by newspaper advertisements and radio advertisements were very effective. I have all 5 of the newspaper comp plan inserts that were published. These surveys were well prepared and were very easy to understand. I was particularly pleased with the Journal as they were a positive force to educate the citizens of this county. These inserts had to have been read by a lot of people because I understand that over 1,100 surveys were returned with 300 comments, special comments. Compared to what I remember in 2010, this is quite remarkable. I attended a couple of what I believe were the 9 outreach meetings. At one of these meetings, I talked to one of the consultants. We went to the same university, so she had to be a pretty good consultant. I also attended one of the dozen or more interested stakeholder groups. I even watched online a couple of the many planning commissions meetings that discussed the comp plan. So, the effort to reach the public and to digest the surveys was very successful in my opinion. Now, I know that no matter what, some of the folks are going to tell you you did everything wrong or you didn't do what you should have. But that's the way it's going to go. I, however, want you to know that I am very pleased with the way things have been going on the comp plan. I think it was well thought out and very successful. And I thank you for your work on this, and I thank you for your time.
Any other public comment at this time? Any written comments can be delivered to Ms. Katie Smith, our clerk to council. And then we'll move forward with council member comments. And
Mr. Chairman,
yes, sir.
I'd like to recognize for the floor several points I want to bring up tonight. I have 3. I'll try to be very brief. Mr. Adams, I'm going to try to hold my temper. Since when I say twists and turns, I got a CDL license to assess freight rates every time a truck makes a stop, every time a truck makes a turn coming from the interstate. That's the points against on your freight rates. As far as the white elephant, and not only is it a white elephant, it's a white elephant with pink polka dots. Michelin had no intention of coming here. They were playing us against Lawrence, Spartanburg, and this. Who's going to get the best deal? Before you come up here and say this, We got that thing been sitting there forever. Now, if you know somebody wants to get in the door, tell them to come on in the door. Our economic development lady, she's breaking our neck. The one before her was breaking his neck. No takers. Anyway, enough of that. The next thing is, I want to apologize to the council secretary. We all sit up here with our glad hand Christmas hats on, and I'm the guilty party that throw $20 on your desk for Christmas. So be it. The other thing is, I got this strange thing, a code of honor. They swore me to it when I got in the service. Raise your right hand, never mind about your enlistment. God, honor, country. The reason I'm bringing this up, my actions at the last council meeting were due to my own total gullible. Because I believe that people have a code of honor they should abide by. Breaking this up, I asked Mr. Elliott, I said, you want to be chairman? Just come back during the summer, started out. Yeah. We walked it into the meeting down here in the hallway. I said, John, you vote for yourself, and Glenn and I go vote for you, I guess, and you want to be chairman? Yep. So we got up there at the last minute, and he changed his mind. Nothing illegal, nothing immoral, nothing wrong. Here's what brought on my gullibleness. My code to God, honor, country goes back to 1969. I wasn't a willing participant. Fidel tried to kill me, but all's forgiven. Mr. Elliott went to the Citadel. I hold that school in high regard. Some of the best officers and enlisted people I've ever worked with have come from that school, as all military schools. The point why I left the meeting, the core values from the Citadel, this is given to me by a Navy captain. First and foremost, honor includes adherence to the code of honor of the Citadel. The Citadel, a cadet will not lie, cheat, steal, nor tolerate those who do. These comments to honor extends beyond the gates of the Citadel and a long life obligation as to the moral and ethical behavior. In addition, the honor includes doing the right thing when no one is watching. And finally, honorable behavior includes exercising moral courage to do the right thing when everyone is watching. And I'm not bad at John a bit. Not at all. But that's what kind of tipped the scales, because he didn't want to be chairman. I'd say, hey, look, I won't do it. No problem. Anyway, that's enough of my tirade. And Mr. Adams, anytime you want to discuss industry, because that's what I do, you come on. Because I guarantee you one thing, I'm dealing with an unarmed man. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, any other council member comments at this time? I would like to appreciate those that come forward speaking about the comprehensive plan, appreciate those that are involved in it, appreciate those taking the time out to attend those meetings. Our planning department, I don't know how many hours y'all average during that time period, but if you go back and you look at the number of people that probably were out there doing the original comprehensive plan, which is required by state law for us to have, versus this one, I bet it's 10 times more people. So I appreciate the work that was done in that. This is a plan that's not going to sit on the shelf. This is a plan that we're going to work at and continue to move forward and continue to have public input on, which is the goal of this council. So I appreciate the planning department, and it is a thankless job, and appreciate what y'all do and the hours that y'all put in from there, and all the conversation that occurred in all the community. I can't say enough good things about everything that y'all do. And Mr. Chapman, appreciate your leadership in that process, and Ms. Brock and your administration. Appreciate all that y'all did to put that together as we move forward with the presentation of the plan tonight. Any other council member comments at this time?
Chair, I just echo your comments and appreciate the public's participation. Wish everybody would have participated, and I think there was ample opportunity for them to do that if they so wished. Definitely appreciate our planning commissioners and their work, and especially the staff that put in a lot of evening hours. And I think we've got a good plan, and I hope that we can implement it because it is truly the will of the people. And that's all you can really ask for in government, is to seek to do the will of the people. So, Mr. Chair, I appreciate it.
Any other comments at this time, council? Okay. Moment of silence, please. Thank you. Mr. Root?
Yes, sir. Pray with me if you'd like to. Dear Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for this universe that you created. This amazing earth that we live on, that you hold together by your reasoning, by your will. And the same with our bodies, our abilities to live and move about, to communicate with one another. It really is amazing when we stand back and are grateful for it. Father, I pray that in that spirit that we would put on humility, accept our vulnerableness in dealing with one another in these meetings and throughout our lives, but for tonight in particular, help us to be quick to listen and slow to speak, to have your wisdom as we do the county's business, so that we would serve our neighbor. And I pray in your name. Amen.
Officer Westendorf, would you lead us in the pledge, please? To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, sir. We do have approval of minutes. There is a typo in there. This is the January 7th, 2020 minutes. I need a motion to approve January 7th, 2020 regular meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second. Motion is second. Any changes, amendments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ms. Brock, you have the floor.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Chairman and Council. In preparation for the upcoming budget year and the end of the previous calendar year, the financial reports in front of you are as accurate as we have been able to get them to date as for December 31st. So the percentages on the sheets before you, and we will be discussing these shortly, is February 11th is strategic plan day, I believe, so just a few more weeks. That we are either at or beyond our 50% mark because of POs or whatnot. As you go through the documents in your packets when you leave here, please be sure to glance through this one specifically for if you have questions to bring back. We will be having strategic plan prior to us discussing the next one of these, since it'll be at the second meeting in February. I also really like to thank the public and comment. We get a lot of complaints. We don't always get a lot of kudos. Thanks for everybody who had anything to do at all with the implementation and the success of the meetings for the comp plans, the ads for the comp plans, the calendars for the comp plans, the planning commission consistently pushing forward, staff consistently coming in and saying, hey, we need to do more, we need to do more. And for the public for knowing that we actually did try to do more. We have every reason to believe that the voice of the people has been heard, and if we haven't heard it, then we're not listening. And the other item of business I have is some handout documents, and we'll hand out as Mr. Smith and we start discussing the comp plan. You may already have these on your desk. We had a little bit of an issue. Okay, perfect. You're covered then. And Adam, do we have enough covered for public? Okay, we'll just wait until that comes. I just want to make sure we address that. So as we are discussing the comp plan, we do have a handout here that will be on the table up here for the public. When that time comes, if we need to, we can just pass them around as needed, okay? And that concludes what I have to address the council and the public with this evening. Thank you, sir.
Does anybody in the audience need a copy of the comprehensive plan executive summary? If you do, I'll give you, if you'll raise your hand, Ms. Brock will deliver you one, if anybody needs one real quick.
I'm just gonna let them pass them down the road.
Mr. Chapman's right there behind you, Mr. Durr.
Thank you for that opportunity.
Everybody good? Okay. All right. We have no public hearings, no third readings. We have a second reading, ordinance 2019-25, ordinance amending Chapter 30, Article 3 of the Oconee County Code of Ordinances in relation to the local accommodations tax in order to clarify the certain exemptions and collection standards, as well as record inspections, penalties, and other matters related thereto. Have a motion to approve second reading.
So moved. Second.
A motion is second. Any comments? All in favor? Aye. That was an aye. Aye, okay. All right, just make sure. All right. All right. Ordinance 2019-26, ordinance to amend Chapter 6, Article 3 of Oconee County Code of Ordinances in relation to the membership of the Oconee County Board of Building Code Appeals. And this is just a change where it was a requirement for somebody to be be an architect, and this is just a suggestion. So I just wanted to get clarification of that. So motion to approve ordinance 2019-26.
So moved.
Second. Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I could just weigh in at this point. And for the benefit of the citizenry, we did change, if you look at appendix or exhibit A, essentially the main change that council approved on first reading was the council shall endeavor, but is not required, to appoint candidates as follows, being the architect, engineer, construction professionals. I would like to have, if the council approves, a motion to amend, to add this provision. Is within your packet materials. It's highlighted in exhibit B. It just balances things out to really comport with the codes. This provision is the board shall nonetheless consist of members who are qualified by experience or training to pass judgment on matters pertaining to the regulatory codes enforced by the county. That just lines up with what's in the codes, and it's good balance. If I could have a motion to that effect to amend, that'd be great.
I make a motion to that effect to amend.
Second.
We have a motion second. And for the citizens to be aware, we had trouble filling that seat of building codes for an entire year, so council saw it to see fit to make sure that we wanted to fill the building codes appeal board completely, but we also want to make sure that we, as stated in that motion, fill it with somebody that understands building codes. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
Now you need to go back to the original motion.
That's right. So we have an amended motion on the floor, as stated. Do I have a motion?
Just discussion and vote.
Or just, oh, sorry. That's when it gets confused. So, any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Rudy. Second reading, ordinance 2019-27, ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of an office lease agreement between Oconee County as lessor and Julie Abraham as lessee for certain real property, including all improvements thereon located adjacent to Hangar E, Oconee County Regional Airport, 365 Airport Road, Seneca, South Carolina, and other matters related thereto. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None? First reading on ordinance 2020-04. This is a ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of a residential lease agreement between Oconee County as lessor and James Kent Crooks as lessee for certain real property, including all improvements located at 207 Crooks Road, Seneca, South Carolina, and other matters related thereto. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? We do have a motion. This is entering into comprehensive plan. We'll have if we have a motion and a second come out of this, we will have discussion from the planning commission meeting. So ordinance 2020-05, ordinance adopting the Oconee County 2020 comprehensive plan. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion. I'd like the council to allow the 2019 Planning Commission Chairman, Mr. Frankie Pearson, to come forward to present that. And I believe you have another Planning Commission member, Mr. Mike Smith, that will be presenting. So y'all have the floor.
Thank you.
Do I do have council approval on that too, correct? Okay.
My name is Frankie Pearson. I was the chairman in 2019 as we worked on this comprehensive plan. We're real excited to give y'all this plan. Everyone has worked very hard, and we've done exactly what we were asked to do, at least from our standpoint we have. Last month, y'all all received a copy of the comprehensive plan, and I hope you had ample time over the holiday to read it and learn as much as you can about the plan and about Oconee County. Just have to go by notes here. First thing I'd like to do is thank the administration, the planning department, every department head in this building and out of this building, the planning commission, the council, for giving us the opportunity to do this plan. Everyone worked hard. Everyone put in a good effort, and I really appreciate, well, not me, but the planning commission really appreciates the county council and all of us putting our money where our mouth is. We got out there and did the job that we were asked to do. We had several meetings which council attended, the administration, some attended. The public, we feel, had ample opportunity to get out and get to these meetings. We had them all over the county. We had a few extra ones to make sure we covered the entire county. They had planning commission meetings that they could come to. So I think we had the opportunity for the citizens to get involved. And this is the citizens' plan. It's not the government's plan. It has nothing to do with the government in here. This is what the people, at least the ones that took the time and come out to our meetings, this is their input. This is what they want to see our county within the next 10 years. It's not the council's plan. This book is a companion document to council and our administration and the government to know what our people want in this county. It's not just something we throw together and not got anybody's opinion on. We're the only county in South Carolina that shows that we have an agricultural element in this plan. We know that that's important in this county, and so we've added it to our comprehensive plan. And it's, again, I want to thank everyone that put an effort into getting out to meetings, our council team meetings. So I'd really like to thank that. And our planning department worked their butts off to get this document together. Matter of fact, I did about 2 of them. And this is what we've got. We've got a plan that we can be proud of. And so we spend a little money, but I've always heard you got to spend money to make money. And so with this plan, if it's used properly, we'll know what the people in this county, the ones that got out and voiced their opinion, will know what they wanted. Maybe everybody didn't get out, but this is a living document. This is not just a thing we write one time and say, that's it. This thing can be changed at any given moment. I mean, we can add pages, we can take pages away, so it's a living document. And that's what makes this comp plan such a reliable source of information. to our government in this county. So at this time, I'd like to present this document to the council and to the people of this county, that y'all are the ones that put this document together. And now, Mr. Mike Smith, if you, I'll let you finish. I'll leave this here. You need this? All right.
My name is Mike Smith. I'm a member of the Planning Commission from District 1. I'm coming before you tonight to familiarize you with some of the parts of the executive summary. The executive summary is found at the front of your comprehensive plan. Audience members have a paper copy of what will be discussed tonight. Let's get started by discussing the implementation plan on page 12 of your executive summary. An effective and practical implementation plan is the key to successful completion of a strategy. The implementation plan starts during your strategic section next month. The comprehensive plan strategies will be provided for council consideration, along with funding needed and timelines with an estimated completion date. If coordination or strategies require planning commission action, specific directions should be outlined for the administrator. After the council decides which strategies to prioritize, they should publicize them to the citizens. The administrator will coordinate with department heads and outside agencies and/or municipalities as required. For the benefit of those listening, completion dates and timelines may be revised if coordination is required by outside agencies. Their agendas may have other priorities that prevent timely support, which may result in completion date revision. The administrator should report progress to the county council on a regular basis. Let's leave the implementation plan and discuss how we determined which of the over 270 strategies were important to the citizens. Input or comments were gathered from the focus meetings and recorded. The newspaper insert comments were transcribed, which resulted in approximately 31 typewritten pages. All of these comments, over 1,000, were then reviewed and aligned with the strategy. If you'll turn to pages 8 through 11, you'll find a listing of the strategies that received the most comments from the citizens under their respective element. 4 strategies, not in ranked order, were listed under each element. The strategy number is listed for reference along with a summary of that strategy. Therefore, what you're seeing on pages 8 through 11 is what the citizens said was important to them and is supported by their input and/or comments. Now, let me mention the top 10 strategies that received the most comment or inputs from the citizens. First was recreational options. The citizens, especially the young adults with children, want something to do other than hiking and lake activities. This was closely followed by expand and upgrade libraries or learning centers. Next was maintain economic incentives for businesses. After that was increase road maintenance, planning, and construction. Next, build trails, pedestrian, and bike connectivity. Number 6 was to discourage littering. Next was expand recreational opportunities for youth. Number 8 was to preserve, protect, and enhance land resources. This was followed by identify and address water quality issues. And lastly was to expand the high-speed internet throughout the county. In closing, please turn to who we heard from on page 5. This is a very detailed list of the efforts made to reach the citizens for their input. After approval by the county council, the executive summary will be included as a newspaper insert. Some smaller copies will be printed for county council and administrative use. The comprehensive plan and its supporting data will also be placed on the county's website, as well as hard copies in all library branches. Hopefully, this executive summary achieved its goal of providing a concise summary of the comprehensive plan that is useful for the county council and administration to accomplish the strategies the citizens felt were important to them. Lastly, I want to recognize the people that helped me develop the executive summary. Gwen and Adam, thank you. It was a pleasure to work with you. Thank you for your time and attention. I'm available for any questions that you may have.
Any discussion from council?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir, Mr. McCall.
Not one word about recycling. We gonna drown in our own garbage? Not one word about healthcare outreach. So the old people in the county who can't afford or physically disabled, are we gonna push them to one side? This is supposed to be the plan for the future. Now, recycling, what are we gonna do? Not one word in it, and everything else is about all the fluff, and yet if the recycling is like the commode, when the commode stops up, it becomes your priority. Our commode is fixing to stop up, and it needs to be addressed. Now, unless you're gonna put it on the backpack of the hikers and hike the garbage out of here, we're gonna have to do it. We're at capacity. Pickens County has neither C&D or garbage. They have to ship it to Greenville. Other counties are facing the same thing. This should have been looked at. I've been on this thing for the last 6 or 7 years, and not one word about it. Or is the plan for social and economic execution of the people that don't have it? 0.8% was your respondents. Now, either people are so lazy, they don't want to respond, they don't care, but when the commode stops up, everybody's going to be cared. I appreciate the plan, don't get me wrong, but it overlooked key obstacles that we're gonna stumble over in the future. So, there's nothing wrong with what you did, it's just short-sightedness on what needs to be looked at primarily. Thank you.
May I please interrupt, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Ms. Brock.
Go ahead.
May I please interrupt
Amanda, if you
you?
want to. Yeah, I've got some comments too that I can make.
There is a section on recycling in the community facilities element. It's not
I
affirmative
saw
action,
it.
but there is a section on recycling. And I'm assuming because the lack of any healthcare or service to healthcare, I think the citizens who did provide input to the comp plan here understood that Oconee County doesn't own, operate, or manage any sort of healthcare facility, and may have been unaware of your previous endeavors for us to expand there.
But yet,
Remember, all of the information we received for the comp plan is about, this started over a year ago. So our outreach for the expansion of healthcare, especially in the free or reduced clinic area, it was newer than the comp plan.
okay,
But I would point out, Mr. McCall, there is here on the elements page, mentioned at 2.2.1, ensure access to adequate healthcare preventative services. So I think there was,
these are what you call in politics is glittering generalities.
well, it's our job to implement the plan or to direct
Well, I
it,
don't
to
see
fund
nothing,
and implement.
I don't see nothing about recycling, so maybe we're gonna backpack the garbage out of here. That's we got a serious problem here. Ask Pickett. Ask
I agree
other
with you.
counties,
I agree
Charleston
with you.
County.
I'm 100% agree.
So
We have to
why
address it.
aren't we addressing that instead of worried about bike trails, lakes and rivers? The lakes and rivers are there, you can't change the river's mind. He's gonna flow one way, because he's there forever.
And if I may, just one more time, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to defend the public and that we can sometimes be ignorant, and I can be ignorant as a member of the public. But it's almost like you don't address things until they're a problem. We have done so well with recycling and managing our natural resources that those haven't come to the forefront yet because they haven't become a problem for most of the people living in Oconee County. We've had adequate recycling, we've had adequate solid waste. We've never had an issue where our lack of being able to recycle or our lack of being able to get rid of solid waste has impacted someone's life other than for a few minutes at a time. And I'm not saying that what you're saying is wrong. I'm just saying that a lot of the things that we see as recommendations here are things that the public has seen as a large picture for us to make improvements on. We haven't caused them any issues yet with recycling or solid waste, and that may be why it didn't make the cut, because the things that are causing people issues have taken a higher priority.
And we need to inform the public how many $1 million we spend every year to get rid of our garbage.
Yes, sir, we adequately, we have to by law advertise all of our budget meetings, and our budget document is online, and we have budget awards. We have transparency awards. I mean, we do the best that we can, but without beating them over the head, and there's a couple people I'd like to beat over the head if y'all want to go that route, with my book, if I may, my budget book. But we can't make them care. We can care for them, but we can't make them care.
Well, it's a problem that's gonna hit us, and then everybody's sitting here with their fuzzy warm, all their little things about the trails and tails and whatever, and then we gonna come up and say, well, we got a problem with recycling. We got no place, and this council is gonna have to propose, the max, was it 5 mil, we could put an increase at one shot, and it's gonna go on all the property, everybody. This not, the commode done stopped up. All the comprehensive, all the fluff and stuff like that goes out the window. Oh, Lord, our property tax is gonna go up. Now what we gonna do? We don't have a plan. So,
Well, and there's nothing in the adoption of the comp plan or the council's consideration of the comp plan that says once we adopt the comp plan that we stop working on everything else that we know about. There's no provision anywhere that says we don't do these things simultaneously. And that's what a good and responsible government would do. They would take what the public wants as well as what the government knows is going to be a problem in the future and combine those two things in a streamlined process for the future.
well, how much money we just spent, not money, but time we spent on opioid addiction and the opioid problem, and you say healthcare's not in the plan. Okay, well, how about the opioid? We're involved in opioid litigation right now. That should be in here. We got all these people, addicts. They're hitting the streets.
Healthcare is in the
Healthcare is
plan.
in the plan.
Just in fairness, I think Mr. Smith hit the top 10 of responses and things folks wanted to see some action on. If you get into the meat of the plan, including the summary of the elements, goals, objectives, and strategies, and then to the 400 some pages?
Yes.
400 some pages after that, the, natural resources that are affected by solid waste, sewer, wastewater, water quality, recycling, and then health issues, county health care facilities, and its safeguarding over those kind of resources are in the plan.
And one thing that I will pride this council on, this council has brought more stuff up from solid waste, from your committee. We brought things forward that we are looking in the future of things that we can do. So we're not sitting back and doing nothing, and you've been part of all those motions as well that we've brought forth to look at doing studies, look at incineration methods, and look at other avenues to remove solid waste, because it's always going to be here. And I agree with you, but just to understand, I can think of 4 motions that we brought forth that involve something around solid waste that is different than what we're doing right now. Have we done anything from there? But the good thing is we have strategic planning coming up on February the 11th. And the top 2 things on your list can be solid waste and healthcare. So.
Has been for the last year.
There we go. So we'll put it in, we'll get you like a big magic marker or something like that, so you can beat us over the head with a magic marker. So I think moving forward, I think we've done some good things. A lot of those elements are touched in there. The hard part about it is it doesn't tell you how to do it. It tells you what needs to be done, what people think needs to be done, but it doesn't give you the here's how to do it. And I think that's where it comes in there. But I appreciate what y'all have done. Mr. Pearson, your leadership of that, and Mr. Chapman as the head staff member, they appreciate what you were doing during that time period to bring this working list forward on there. It's been a long process, but it's been a good process, and I appreciate that. And, those 2 things are definitely worth, Ms. Brock asked me if I've read it, and I said about 80% of it. And it is a lot of great stuff in there. There's a lot of things around the population that seem repetitive, but those are things that are required to be in there. But it was a good, especially, around the solid waste and around what expectations for healthcare moving forward, that is in there, and it's definitely one of those things that we need to continue to push for.
Well, why is it in the future land use map, the old one showed a whole bunch of industry? And now, the new land use map shows the same businesses aren't there no more, including the newspaper. They got the Seneca Journal, it ain't even, with their printing plant, it ain't even on the thing no more, it ain't even listed. So, is this a hint, well, we don't want industry? Other plants aren't listed. Other plant managers were upset. What do? You don't care about us no more? You don't want us here? What happened with that map? That's something that Ms. Brock said the county needs, but that's something the county's involved in. Why did we exclude the little purple dots where these industries are on our future map and not on, and they were on the old map? What happened there?
They're on the new map. It's a zoning criteria, they're not named. They're on the new map as a zoning criteria, it just identifies it as like industrial or recreational. So we didn't name anything.
No.
There were a
these little
couple things
purple-
on there.
These little purple dots were gone.
Maybe it's the printing of it?
No.
Well,
Yeah.
if it's industry, it's at the Economic Alliance, and their presentation has every industry in
Yeah, and this is
Oconee
for the
County.
comp
So
plan
this is
as
a
well.
comp plan, which is a little different than what the Economic Alliance brings forth on there. So if they're,
Yeah, there shouldn't be any significant changes there.
if they're upset, they need to contact us.
Or me.
So, all right. We have a motion by Mr. Kane, a second by John. Any other discussion at this time? It's first reading on the comprehensive plan. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Aye. No? All right. First and final reading, Resolution 2020-01, resolution authorizing the execution and delivery of an emergency shelter agreement between Oconee County, South Carolina, and School District of Oconee County. Have a motion to approve? So moved. Second. Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Discussion regarding action items. We have this 2021 Kenworth cab and chassis for roads and bridges, $125,088. The staff's recommendation, council approves the purchase of 2021 Kenworth T880 dump truck to Worldwide Equipment Enterprises Incorporated of Columbia, South Carolina, in the amount of $125,088.00 per Sourcewell contract number 081716. KTC. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. We have a action item 2020 Case 590 SN four-wheel drive backhoe for roads and bridges, $99,748.61. Staff's recommendation that council approve the purchase of a 2020 Case 590 SN loader backhoe from Hills Machinery of Greenville in the amount of $99,748.61. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Action item 2021 Kenworth T880 dump truck for roads and bridges, $172,782. It's staff's recommendation that council approve the purchase of a 2021 Kenworth T880 dump truck to Worldwide Equipment Enterprises Incorporated of Columbia, South Carolina, in the amount of $172,782 per Sourcewell contract number 081716 KTC. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Brock, can you, we wanted to touch base on the budget that we have set forth here as we go down.
Yes, sir, I did. Thank you so much. Mr. Chair and Council, as you all know, this past spring, we came to you with the requested capital vehicle and equipment replacement plan and requested council approve designated millage to fund that plan for the remainder. I'd like for y'all to look at the 3 pieces of equipment that we've requested and you've so graciously approved for the road department this evening. I do have a staff member from the road department here, Mr. Danny Harris. If there were questions, but we're perfectly fine with you, you're entrusting us to move forward. But on the first one for the Kenworth cab and chassis, please look at the year of the replacement vehicle that we're looking at. It's 1997. We've spent almost 50% of the cost of a new vehicle doing repairs on this one. When we talk about increasing our budget, that is one of a very inefficient increase in fund requests in the past. And obviously, that funding request for increases in the future is not going to go down at the drop of a hat. But there will come a point where we hit a balance from where we've got some of the really old, expensive, and hard-to-maintain pieces out of our fleet and some of the newer pieces in the fleet. The second piece that you approved this evening was replacing a 1999 backhoe. When you think about how we put in culverts and do road repairs, it's rough work. It's hard work on the equipment, it's hard work on the gentleman working them. I don't know if any of you have spent that much time on a tractor, but imagine how your back and body would feel after spending time on a 20-year piece of equipment that's been used pretty brutally. I mean, consistent with its use, but still. The shocks and springs have to go and the tracks have to be replaced. We've spent considerable amount of money replacing items on these older tractors. And the third one that's coming up here is the 1992 GMC dump truck. Now, all of these are going to go off of the county liability and insurance. We'll be getting rid of them. But all of the equipment that is before you this evening was approved in that capital vehicle and equipment plan. And just want to highlight the fact that having designated millage to do that should put an ease to your mind because you know that the funding source is secure. And it puts an ease on the department's mind because they don't have to worry about whether they're going to get a piece of equipment. The idea now is for us to plan on purchasing pieces of equipment in conjunction with speaking with the county treasurer to make sure that the allocation of funding does not become a detriment to the county.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion from council?
Just the prices are all well within line of what new equipment costs.
Thank you.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Action item, this is the WK Dixon work authorization number 3 for the airport. FAA 90% is $123,300. The state 5%, that's $6,850. The county 5%, that's $6,850 for the total award of $137,000. These funding services was included as part of the FAA improvement project. It's staff's recommendation that council approve work authorization number 3 in the amount of $137,000 to WK Dixon Incorporated for professional service for construction, administration, and construction observation of the relocation of Nebo Church Road. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Action item for WK Dixon, work authorization number 5 for the airport. FAA 90% dollar figure is $199,800. State's 5% is $11,100. The county's 5% is $11,100 for a total award to WK Dixon for $222,000. Staff's recommendation that council approve work authorization number 5 in the amount of $222,000 to WK Dixon and Company for professional services for construction administration, construction observation, and for the expansion of the West Terminal Apron Project site prep. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right. Building Codes Appeal, I may have somebody after, since we're making that. Any of the nominations from the floor, no questionnaires on file. Council Committee reports, Mr. Hart, you have the floor.
We had a special meeting for the Transportation Committee December the 17th, 2019 at 4:30 p.m. Mrs. Gant and some of her people from Willow Creek subdivision were here and made public comments. And after some discussion with Mrs. Gant, Mr. Davis made a motion that we accept the main road in, and Mr. Kane gave a second, and the vote was 3-0 on it. There was going to be some minor repairs, which I'll mention later. This is for Twin View Drive only. The cul-de-sacs radiuses are too small, but when the cul-de-sacs, if they're repaired, meets the standards of the county, they can be brought back in the future. The next Transportation Committee is scheduled for Tuesday, February the 18th, 2020 at 4 p.m. Now I'd like to make a motion. Approval of the condition acceptance of Twin View Drive upon the happenings of the following items, and provided these items are completed within 1 year of the date of conditional acceptance, the county will formally accept the road upon transfer of appropriate easements, right-of-ways, and dedications. Repair distress in the roadway, which means potholes and alligator cracks. Delineation of the intersection of Critter Road utilizing road stripping. Riprap at inlets and outlets, protection put on the cross pipes showing erosion. Stabilization with grass and bare spots in the road right-of-way. Additional right-of-way provided to Oconee County if necessary. Signage placed to alert drivers of a blind hill condition at the crest near the intersection of Cozy Hill Court and Comet View Court, and a street light in the sag between the intersection noted above with the perpetual maintenance agreement for its operation and maintenance.
I'll second the motion. Any discussion? Ms. Brock, what I would like, and I don't know how y'all plan on handling this, but due to the way certain subdivisions and some issues we've had long-term, is if all of these are listed in the date that they're accomplished, your signature, because it's your authorization to sign off on that, as well as a staff member, and then whoever the, I guess it would be the developer of that or the homeowner, that would depend on what they would like to do.
It'll be through Ms. Gant this particular time, but in the future, yes, sir.
And
We've already come up with sort of a process we would like to bring back to the Transportation Committee for approval, so that we do have a better, accurate timeline of what's happened.
okay, because some of them
You're right.
are,
We have had some issues.
yeah, some of them are easier than others, but as they come forward, as long as each of those is checked out, I'd like that to be filed properly. That way, the Roads and Bridges knows what's going on, you know what's going on, and the homeowners association knows what's going on as well. That way, in that order. And Mr. Root, this would not come back to council after this motion, correct?
It will come, yes, it will come back for formal and final acceptance.
Okay,
Council really won't have the option to deviate so long as these conditions are met.
okay.
But we need to find the final stamp.
And that's clear.
Yes, Ms. Hart and I have been in good communication,
Yeah.
and the homeowners in the area have been great. They've already done 3 of the recommendations that we've had from the Transportation Committee meeting, and I don't feel like we'll have any problem moving forward with this.
I just wanted to be clear and council understand that we're trying to be as clear on that as well. So we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. No unfinished business, any new business at this time? We do have a executive session, and we just want to let citizens know, we do have a first reading of the following ordinance coming out of the executive session. Sometimes we have that, sometimes we don't. Just want citizens to be aware of that. So we need a motion to go in executive session for 1, discussion regarding an economic development matter, Project Aztec. 2, discussion regarding an economic development matter, Project Trout. Do I have that motion?
Make a motion.
Second. Motion is second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Reconvene.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. No action was taken in executive session. We do have first reading of following ordinance, ordinance 2020-06, ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of a fee agreement by and between the Penney County, South Carolina and Project Aztec, providing for a payment of a fee in lieu of taxes and the issuance of a special source revenue credits, authorizing the conveyance of certain real property and other matters related thereto. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?